Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the importance of managing your self-advocacy funds or money. Today is November 16, 2016, and today we have members from Colorado presenting. Southwest Alliance is in its third year, and the goals of the project are to share information from state to state about self-advocacy, create video blogs about disability issues, lead webinars about strengthening self-advocacy organizations, and work on sustainability and recruiting youth leaders. All right, Colorado.
Presenting from Colorado is
Vicki, Joni,
Kaylee,
and Heidi.
So the purpose of this webinar, and hopefully what you'll be able to do and understand once this is over, is how to make sure that your self-advocacy group's money is safe and secure. There's different steps you can take. We'll share a story about how to avoid being taken advantage of, and talk about who has control of your self-advocacy group's money and how to make sure that you've got the money you need to keep things going.
does your self-advocacy group have a bank account? Yes or no?
So here's the first poll question. Does your self-advocacy group have a bank account? Yes or no?
Yes.
So it looks like everybody answered yes. So far, everyone's group does have a bank account. That's great. That's where's the place to start.
What's that? Introduction. Why is it important?
True story. Once upon a time, a statewide self-advocacy group gave control of the bank account and all of the money in it to the elected treasurer's advisor.
The money follows the group that the treasurer is from so that their advisor can help them to do the job. The treasurer has a choice to start a new account or use the same account they've been using.
Question 2. Does anyone other than the advisor's bank account is a self-advocacy group? Yes or no?
So does anyone other than an advisor see or have access to the bank account for your self-advocacy group? That could be maybe your president or your treasurer or somebody else in the group maybe also has access.
They're answering, huh?
Good.
Yes.
That was one of the reasons that we ran into trouble. So here is what happened. When the new treasurer was elected, the bank account and all of the money in it went to the newly elected treasurer's advisor of the group they were from. They decided to start a new account.
Every month, the treasurer and their advisor would update the self-advocacy group on bank account information. There was never anything unusual reported, and everyone trusted that the advisor was giving the true and correct information. So nobody else was really seeing what was happening in the bank account, but they were just trusting the advisor and the information that they were giving them.
The system worked just fine for a long time.
There were some bad signs. A few times requested the checks were not written for strange reasons. Most of the strange reasons were offered to a person's checking interest in a checking for self-advocacy account.
Yeah, so there were some weird things going on. We weren't getting checks when they were being requested, and the checks weren't coming from the self-advocacy account everyone thought we had. It was coming from a personal account, which kind of started raising some flags.
After many months, the group decided to make a change. Changing the account every time we elected a new treasurer was confusing, so the group decided to pick a fiscal agent.
Then one day, the self-advocacy group voted to have a fiscal agent who would control all of the money in the bank account and under the direction of the self-advocacy group. So they would be advising and directing how the money was spent, but another agent would be the one actually controlling it.
This is what happened now. The self-advocacy group was excited to make the change. We are glad we did.
So you might be wondering what exactly a fiscal agent can do, and the role of a fiscal agent can include a few different things. They can share their 501c3 nonprofit status and number to raise money. They can keep track of the money in our account by balancing our checkbook, and they can help us put together the monthly financial reports.
That was when the trouble started. The fiscal agent asked currently the bank account to be closed and all of the money sent to them.
That is when the truth came out. The bank account was almost empty. It was taken out by the advisor who had control of the bank account. The treasurer had no idea this was going on.
Most of the money in that account was gone. That included years of membership dues, donations from, and contributions were no longer for the self-advocacy group to spend for self-advocacy purposes. They had, someone in the group had trusted had used those funds for other reasons and not for the self-advocacy group itself. There was a lot lost there.
Especially against opening a new bank account for the self-advocacy group with the small amount of money left. When the community found out, they made donations to help us rebuild the account.
Now the group has decided how to make this so this never happens again. They made plans to make sure that they were always in control and able to see what happens to the money in the group, in the group money.
Be planning.
Step 1, make sure that the self-advocacy group and the fiscal agent list on the bank account.
So it's always good to make sure that both of you guys have access to that account and both your names on it so that you can both see it when you need to.
Second step, send bank statements to the treasurer and the president every month for review.
Our third step is to that approval of any checks written or debit card used by the actual treasurer, not just the advisor. So you've got a couple of different people that have to approve when that money's going out.
Clear policy about how way the person need to be reversed and paid back for the interest.
So it's good to have clear ideas of what people can be paid back for, so they're not taking out expenses and then just taking money out of the account to pay themselves back if it's not something that was already approved by the group.
The self-advocacy group feels confident that their money needs to be in the group's needs.
Question answer. Any question and answer.
So does anyone have any questions about the plan that we used or what happened or how to avoid something like that happening to your group as well?
How did you decide who would be your fiscal agent?
The groups all came with different ideas, and then each group that had interest in being the fiscal agent presented to the self-advocacy group, and the self-advocacy group voted on which organization they wanted to be the fiscal agent.
So like an interviewing process?
Yeah, it was, they came and did a presentation about their organization to the self-advocacy group, and then they could ask questions and gather information that way.
Do you remember what were the questions that self-advocates had?
They had questions about what the organizations, what they did on a day-to-day basis and what their mission was, and they wanted to make sure that their mission lined up with the mission of the organization that would be the fiscal agent. They also had questions about how the money would be shown to the organization and where it would be kept and how all those controls would kind of work for them. They wanted to make sure that they would have access to the accounts and the statements.
Do you think that you've seen an increase in questions from the self-advocates since it changed?
I think actually we've had probably less questions only because there's so much more information presented every month.
So there's adequate information during that issue?
Right, yes.
Session? Finance session? Okay. Do you have one of the things that self-advocacy groups seem to struggle with is a process for getting checks. Do you have a process in place or a policy?
Yes, there's a reimbursement form that gets filled out by the person requesting the check, and then it gets signed by the president and the treasurer before the check would go out.
How long do you guys need to do that process?
About a week from the time. Usually those requests are done at our statewide meetings where the treasurer and the president both are.
Mm-hmm.
which makes that kind of easy. We don't have a lot of requests for money going out in between those meetings.
Okay. Does your fiscal agent, are they the ones that are listed to receive membership dues, or does it go to a general mailbox for the organization and then they get turned in, or?
Sometimes it can happen either way. We've had people send things directly to us if they know to do that. Otherwise, if a bunch of membership dues got collected by, say, a group in Lakewood, they would collect all the dues and then mail them all to us, to the fiscal agent, to be deposited into the account. So it can work either way.
Okay. Do you have group membership, or do you have individual members inside the group join?
We have group membership. So each group has a membership that they pay to Speaking for Ourselves Colorado, the statewide group. But then within each one of those groups that are members of Speaking for Ourselves Colorado, those individual groups all collect their own membership dues from individuals.
So let me make sure I'm getting it. The chapter has membership dues, and then those members contribute to the chapter, and then the chapter pays to be part of you.
Yes.
Okay. May I ask how much each one is?
The dues, the individual dues that you guys pay every year, how much is that?
Okay, you join is $5, and then after that is $4.
So initially $5 when you join, and then yearly after that it's $4 for
Yes.
self-advocates.
But you don't have to pay right away. You can visit and
Yeah.
then decide if you want to do it.
Yeah, so in our groups, we kind of have a trial period where people can come to 3 meetings before deciding to become a member and have to pay that due of $5.
And then what is when the group has to pay, what is that?
So if your group is less than 50 people, it's $30, and if it's more than 50 to 100, then it's $50. We don't have any groups that are larger than that, so.
That's great. It's good that you have a structure. Do you actually have a policy manual now, or is it just in bylaws, or how do you work that?
We don't have a policy manual necessarily, but we do have bylaws that just recently got redone last year.
Yeah.
And we have a fairly lengthy fiscal agent agreement with our fiscal agent.
So the financial policies are in that agreement?
Yes.
Have you had to add any new policies since you started that?
No.
Good.
No. We had the original form that was the agreement between Speaking for Ourselves Colorado and our fiscal agent, and when they went to create the bank account, they asked that an addendum be added that said that the fiscal agent had permission to open the bank account. So we created that addendum and had it signed by the president, and so that was added in. But other than that, which happened right after the agreement was made, there hasn't been any changes.
Okay. Monica, do you have any questions to ask them about managing finances, or any comments?
Not right now.
How about you, Lindsay?
I think any question that I would have had was covered. So thank you for that.
How do you guys manage the new grant money that's coming in? Do you have like a separate section and then just use it when you guys need it to do presentations or travel and stuff like that?
Yeah, it gets, so when we travel, it gets, that money gets applied towards all of that. Because that all gets purchased from the Arc of Colorado, and then it's accounted for separately, so then those accounts go against those charges, like plane tickets and meals.
So you have like a grant fund or a grant line and a general line?
Yes, it's our bookkeepers count that money, and it's called Southwest Alliance funds, and there's kind of like a piggy bank sort of, and then when we have expenses that are for that, then that money gets applied to the balance. So yeah, it's accounted for separately.
So your treasurer has a little bit of work to do to make sure that everything that's out gets checked off, and so that they know what the real balance is, because there might be stuff in the works.
The grant money that we get is through People First of Denver, and so this webinar is about Speaking for Ourselves Colorado. So that money is completely different than the project we're doing with Southwest Alliance.
So they help you coordinate the different sections plus the different organizations.
People First of Denver has a completely different setup than Speaking for Ourselves Colorado. This webinar is about what happened to our statewide self-advocacy group, and People First of Denver is who works with Southwest Alliance on the grant.
Okay.
We're just thinking of other possibilities or discussion topics that relate.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was something we had to figure out as well. And I don't believe Speaking for Ourselves Colorado has had any grant money come in, at least not in the past 5 years. I haven't seen any come through. But if they did, then we would certainly need to kind of build some agreement amongst the group about how that would be accounted for in the bank account and reported to the group.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're lucky. People First of Denver never had, since we've had the treasurer and we've just had one account, whenever there's a new treasurer or new advisors, everybody just gets signed on and taked off the account. So there's always 4 of us that could go down to the bank and be able to get records of all the monies that have been in and out.
So do you have multiple people, couple of people sign the checks, or just one?
We have multiple people. So two of the signers have to sign a check out of the People First of Denver account.
Do you have a policy if it's over $100 or $500, so you need 2 signatures or something like that?
No, it's just set up so that they all need 2 signatures.
So if for some miraculous magical thing you get a project grant for, I don't know, $50,000, how would you manage that, or how would that work?
We would put it in the account. Are you asking how Speaking for Ourselves would do it, or People First of Denver, or both?
For both.
Well, I think it would be the same for both of them. It would be put into the bank account, and then it wouldn't be spent unless there was agreement by the membership and the board.
So which organization has the nonprofit?
neither one of those organizations have the nonprofit. But they both have fiscal agents.
And the fiscal agent is a nonprofit, or no?
Yes. Yeah, they both are.
Okay. Just trying to get it.
Yeah, but the fiscal agent really wouldn't have any say in how the money was spent. It would still be up to the group that had the fiscal agent.
Okay. But they would.
And
yeah.
I haven't heard of any groups having issues with fiscal agents trying to influence how that money is spent.
Yeah.
Have you guys?
No.
I don't know, we haven't. No, it's usually the group decides on what they want to do with their money, and if it's tied to a project or some activity that has been set aside, and that's just either mutually agreed upon or written down somewhere that that's what the money's going to be used for.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're excited about the possibility of a $50,000.
These things can happen.
We'll have members from New Mexico talk about grant writing, so hopefully you'll get some ideas
Oh, well, there you go.
about maybe where to look for grants and how to prepare for grants.